This is KGW News at noon.
Oh my gosh is right. Drive 8 was behind that car on the I-84 this morning as it spun out on the ice and crashed. Wow. Hello, everyone. I'm Brenda Braxton. Thank you for joining us. Those slick roads are the biggest concern today after Portland's record snowstorm. Want to give you a live look at some ODOT cams showing all of the major freeways on the east and west side of Portland. KGW's Christine Pitawanit shot the crash video we showed you, and she is back in Drive 8 with an update on the road conditions. Christine, what a day.
Yeah, Brenda, what a day for sure. I mean, the slick roads you had mentioned being a problem. Yeah, they are still a problem. Right now, we are on Southwest Broadway here in downtown Portland. And if you look closely, it's still pretty iced over. And this is the case on the roads and, areas where there's a lot of shade. So maybe buildings are covering up, covering the road so that the sunshine can't get to it. I will say that in other parts of the city where the sunshine is getting to the pavement, things are starting to thaw out a little bit. But earlier this morning, we were in Drive 8 checking some spots all over the Portland metro area. And a big problem spot was I-84 East near Cesar E. Chavez, exit 2. Take a look at the crash we happened to document as I was grabbing video for social media. You can see the car transitioning from clear pavement to ice. It starts fishtailing, then spins across I-84 eastbound and crashes into a truck that was left on the side of I-84. But that was not the only crash we saw in that area. Earlier in the morning, there was another crash involving two cars near Cesar E. Chavez. That's the same exit that the first crash happened at. Another thing we noticed, not only do you have to pay attention to the ice on the roads, chains that may have fallen off cars and other debris too, but also you got to think about looking up as you're driving under those overpasses. We saw pretty large icicles hanging from a number of them, so probably a good idea to keep an eye out for those as it warms up today. But back here downtown again, as you can see, where the sun is able to get to the pavement, it is melting off. Earlier this morning, I-205 South, I-5 North, generally looked clear, FYI. Highway 26 Fremont Bridge had some slick spots at that point, but the takeaway here is that there are variable conditions out there. And tonight, with temperatures in the probable teens and 20s, you can expect that these roads are going to ice back over. But Rod, you can see the conditions out here right now. The sunshine is out and it's definitely melting some of this stuff. So what's it looking like?
Ahead of yesterday, already right now, in fact, warmer than we were during the daytime hours of yesterday. And yesterday, the sun was good enough to melt some of the asphalt areas off of the snow. Right now, we're at 33. We never made it above freezing yesterday. So certainly on I-5, I've been watching. That roadway just looks wet. Traffic's been moving in downtown from this vantage point well all morning, so that's good news. I do want to show you what the numbers were earlier this morning because some of them were records. Portland, we got down to 25, not quite as cold due to the east wind keeping the temperature up as we thought we might, but still 25 ties the record low for today's date. It was 16 out in Hillsborough. Scappoose actually dipped, to 14. That was the coldest number in the metro area. It was also in the 20s over at the coast. Anyway, for the remainder of today, the story is above freezing. How about that? We could go as warm as 38 degrees. We'll at least get up into the mid-30s, but it will quickly be freezing again this evening. And coming up, on the one hand, our snowstorm is now down hitting California. What could be our next chance of incoming snow is up here. I'll show you Futurecast, which does show snow Saturday night. That's coming up in my forecast.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Rod. Today, Portland's mayor and other local leaders are asking for volunteers to help staff warming shelters. The city will be keeping all 6 of its warming shelters open during the day today and overnight. They need volunteers to get people settled and into services.
We're looking for anyone out in the community who is available to come forward, sign up for a shift, and spread the word and help us fill this critical need. We have a link for folks to sign up on our Care for When It's Cold page, which is found at multco.us/cold. That's
So shelters were at 96% capacity last night. Here are the 6 in our area. They are open today and then overnight. The Lloyd Center will also be open, but only during the day. No one will be turned away, and you can call 211 if you need help getting to a shelter. Well, it's been a couple days since our surprise storm, but scores of abandoned cars are still sitting on city streets and on the shoulder of interstate freeways. If you're one of those drivers who walked away, KGW's Alma McCarty answers the question, now what?
Stranded and stuck with no easy way out, many Portland drivers decided the best course of action would be to abandon their cars Wednesday night.
Pretty frustrating because, nobody knew that it was going to snow this much.
I had to stop at the red light behind cars and I couldn't keep moving. And if I couldn't keep moving, then I was stuck. I needed the momentum.
By Thursday afternoon, crews were in full swing to address the icy streets. Commissioner Minx Maps explains.
We've been out all day. We have plowed about a third of the city, plowed or treated about a third of the city. We still got more work to do, but we're making incredible progress. I'll tell you, one of the real challenges for us right now are the cars that have been left about in the streets. So we've been waiting to get those vehicles off the road.
PBOT leaders announced Thursday people who left their vehicles parked legally at meters and other public parking spots will not need to worry about overstaying time limits until midday Saturday. Plus, the Bureau will waive parking citations for illegally parked cars.
If you've abandoned your car in a dangerous place, I encourage you to do everything you can to move it to a safer space.
However, if your car does get towed before you can get back to it, what do? The city partners with an online platform called Auto Return to help speed up the process of finding your vehicle after a tow.
It's a service that provides this clearinghouse of information on vehicles that were towed, and they're doing the intake of these orders across ODOT, PBOT, police, a variety of agencies.
Although PBOT won't cite owners for parking violations, you will be responsible for the towing fees. That also goes for cars towed from ODOT-managed roads. Local tow truck drivers told KGW despite nonstop calls Thursday to retrieve personal vehicles, the current focus remains on clearing blocked roads. They'll shift gears Friday or Saturday to tow more cars as conditions improve.
Odds are, given the high number of vehicles that were abandoned, not only on city streets, but on state highways and state freeways, it could take a while for the tow trucks to get to your vehicle.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Well, some people are still without power this afternoon. Here's a look at the latest numbers. PGE reporting more than 1,000 people without electricity. Pacific Power has just over 100 outages. Well, the storm wasn't all bad news. It really did bring out the best in some people. KGW's Catherine Cook tells us about one Good Samaritan who helped move almost 24 cars that were either stuck or abandoned.
Wednesday night's near-record snowfall crippled the Portland metro area. Snow, ice, and gravity unyielding, stranding drivers for hours, especially on Northeast 82nd and Columbia.
And the off-ramp right there was just absolutely decimated. There was 20 plus cars stuck.
John Gilbert has seen it before.
I just really enjoy helping people, and every time there's a big snowstorm and ice storm.
On this night, John's friend Alec was in this mess.
I'd been sitting for about 7 hours.
He called John, who loaded up his Nissan Pathfinder.
Honestly, just some toe straps and shackles.
Along with a few other things.
Pretty much everything, his heart.
To rescue his buddy. That was the initial plan.
There was a car trying to get up a hill, and the first thing we did was ask them if they wanted help, and eventually we ended up pulling them out, and after that, he just kind of decided that's what we were going to do for the night.
And so it began.
Yes! Yes!
One forsaken car after another. And another.
Thank you. Everyone was so thankful, you know, people got kids at home and everything.
You could tell he was enjoying himself, just making everyone happy and just helping. He's always been like that, so known him pretty much my whole life.
We were out there till 6 a.m., but we got that whole off-ramp cleared.
All clear except for one.
We put in a valiant effort on it.
This semi-truck carrying 6 tons of freight.
Just the weight of those big rigs, you know, and 2-3 inches of ice.
At the wheel, a woman named Mary.
I'm glad you're letting people know that people like John exist out there.
She's grateful that John even tried.
What a guy. That's what we're here to do, right? Help each other out. And sometimes in society it feels like we've forgotten that. John helps you remember that.
On a night so many would rather forget.
Consider it a success.
In Northeast Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Wonderful story. Okay, the Portland International Airport has had some weather-related issues this week. Want to give you a live look at the big board this afternoon. According to FlightAware, there are 44 canceled flights to and from PDX and 63 delays. As always, they recommend you check with your airline before heading to the terminal. Our viewers have also been a really big part of this weather story. We ask you to send in photos from your neighborhood, and here's a sample of what we got. This is the kneeling angel statue at the grotto here in Portland. Our thanks to Leo Hamber for that shot. In East Multnomah County, oh, look at this little guy. 2.5-year-old Weston was out sledding, having a bunch of fun. And then finally, this is Remy, a French bulldog. He is loving the snow in the couve. You can share your own photos and videos as well. Text them to 503-226-5088. We'll show as many on the air as we can. And for weather updates anytime, you can download the KGW News app. The news at noon. We'll be right back. Today marks the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. To commemorate the day, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited wounded soldiers and presented them with medals for their service. Zelensky also thanked doctors for staying in the war-torn country and caring for those fighting for freedom. He also made a video calling the past year Ukraine's year of invincibility.
Крилаті ракети, дрони камікадзе, блекаут, холод. Ми сильніші за це.
President Zelensky saying their 2022 was a year of resilience, bravery, pain, and hope. He thanked Western allies for sending military aid, adding Ukraine has surprised the world and united it. In the meantime, the war has displaced thousands of Ukrainian citizens. NBC's Jay Gray has the latest from Poland, where many of those refugees are ending up.
Well, for a full year now, refugees have been pouring across the border from Ukraine into Poland, and nowhere has it been busier than here, the Medyka crossing. In the last year, more than 1 million refugees have come through these gates and into Poland. Of course, some moving on further into Europe, even over to the U.S. And the stream continues, not nearly as intense as it was at the beginning of the war, but still overall 20,000 or more a day leave Ukraine and move into Poland. But understand, these borders are a revolving door now. So you've got the families coming in looking for shelter, looking for safety, but you've also got people going back to Ukraine with much needed supplies, and of course some of them joining the fight along the front lines. There is concern that the number of refugees will continue to grow, that this humanitarian crisis will continue to expand, especially if, like most military analysts believe, the fighting intensifies over the next several months. So we'll get into the spring, and that'll make ground war easier for the troops to move, the tanks to get in and out, and so that's going to escalate things. And so they do expect to see more people moving into Poland. The problem for so many of the towns, the villages, even the major cities like the capital city of Warsaw, is that they've reached their limit in a sense. There's just nowhere else for refugees to go. It's been a burden on the budget, obviously, on city and social services, and so they've been reaching out to neighbors here in Europe, to the U.S. to try and ease that burden, and the response has been positive. But again, even a year into all of this, it's still very new and very rapidly changing at times. Again, it would appear that this humanitarian crisis that starts at the border is going to continue to expand as the war does the same. That's the latest right now from here at the Medyka border crossing in Poland. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
Now to Southern California, where a rare blizzard is taking aim at the folks there. The National Weather Service issuing a blizzard warning for the mountains. That's the first time in 34 years that's happened. As much as 5 feet of snow is expected. The storm will also bring wind, heavy rain, and the chance of small tornadoes. After the break, we'll have more on our local weather. Don't go away. Woohoo!
Yeah. What did I just tell you?
We're above freezing for the first time since the storm hit. I know, right? Woohoo!
I mean, the storm was just a couple days ago, but still, this is the first hour we've cracked 32. All right, 33 is our current number. Let me get you into what's happening out there. Interesting, Brenda told you about the threat of this storm hitting California. That is the low. That was our snowstorm back on Wednesday. Remember we said it was going to migrate to the south. Well, there it is. Pretty clear skies. Obviously today, we keep that tonight. We'll wake up to sun tomorrow. There is another storm right back up in here. And I'll show you Futurecast coming up here in a moment. But Futurecast continues to show snow Saturday overnight. Okay. A couple live cameras because they're so pretty. This is from Lincoln City. Lincoln City was one of those spots that really reported some decent snow. It's still there right along the dunes of the beach. That's from our Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. Coast temperatures on track to crack 40. Everybody's clear. This is Sun River. No surprise that the resort, looking back behind the main resort lodge, has snow on the ground. You can see Bachelor right there. Temperatures will only be around freezing over in Sun River today. The Dalles is at 27. Ben currently not reporting. 37 Astoria, 41 in Florence. Temperatures will get about 40s, I mentioned, at the coast. And we'll be at least mid-30s in Portland and Salem, maybe upper 30s. It's 35 in Kelso right now and 35 down in Eugene as well. Okay, so in order of things happening, this is what we wake up to tomorrow morning. Remember, tomorrow morning is just like today. Today we tied the record of 25 degrees for the date. I think the record tomorrow morning is 23, and we will have less wind tomorrow morning. So with less wind tomorrow morning, less of a wind chill, but the actual air temperatures for a lot of you will probably be colder than they were this morning. Forecast models show 19 in Portland, 22 Salem, 21 Tillamook, 27 up in Longview, 12 degrees in Hood River. Again, this is the projection for what you wake up to tomorrow morning. Okay, let's talk about the weekend. So again, a clear sky when you wake up tomorrow morning. We'll eventually get some clouds increasing in the afternoon, but a pretty sunny day overall. Here's Futurecast starting at 6:30. Rain starting to approach Astoria. And then look what happens as this batch of moisture moves inland. This is snow developing. This is I-5 right about 11 o'clock. I feel like this might be a little too soon, but somewhere 11, midnight, 1 o'clock, somewhere in there. I like our chances of picking up some snow, and it could snow for several hours. But here's the catch. What are you doing in the middle of the night? Most of you are probably sleeping, right? Here's 7:30 Sunday morning. Now we're starting to get up. We're looking out the window, and it's raining. The front comes in about sunup or shortly before Sunday morning, and that will bring in warmer air off of the Pacific, actually, and it should give us a rain shower day during the day on Sunday with low snow levels, though, over the Coast Range and over the Cascades. And those passes, well, today, I mean, Government Camp, that's better, but it's so cold up there. 15 degrees. Here's the same highway, but over the Coast Range. Right now, 30 degrees and still very, very snow covered. So again, if you're going to the coast for the weekend, don't forget those Coast Range passes are snow covered and ice covered. I'm sticking with my low in Portland of 35 Sunday morning, 42 in the afternoon. There could be periods of some wintry weather, especially in the morning hours of Monday and Tuesday. It's a cold 7-day. We'll be back in a moment.
Some folks hate the cold, but Huskies are in their element when winter rolls around. But all the outdoor fun took a scary turn in southeast Portland this morning. This happened near the Oregon Yacht Club. It's a floating building on the Willamette in the Selwood neighborhood. 2 Huskies were playing near the club and they fell into the water. Fortunately, they were both rescued. You can see one of the dogs there along with Portland police. We're told both of those little guys are back home this noon, safe and sound. Happy ending.
Seven-day forecast, when I looked at the models that came in this morning, they are trending over the next 7 to 8 days colder. And they were already trending pretty chilly.
Yeah,
now
they
they're
were.
trending even colder. So Sunday's high 42. Any of these days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, could potentially struggle just to get to 40 or warmer with a mix of rain and snow showers at times in the air. And of course, March begins on Wednesday, we think.
Oh, there you go. And we'll leave you with that shot of the Rose City. Have a great afternoon and a good weekend.